So I disassembled the oil sandwich plate just to make sure that was the cause of the engine failure. And sure enough, right now you see that spring. I had the plunger in front of the spring, so it's closing up the oil flow, which comes in through the middle of here, goes back in there in the filter housing, and then feeds the engine. So lots of shavings and the oil pan. You'll see it in the oil filter, sparking all over. A lot of shavings. Here's the cap. Also more shavings. So yeah, that was the case of what blew the engine up. The white that you see in the oil is actually ceratec, Liqui-Moly. This is the engine. What kind of surprises me the most is it was started from oil pressure, and all of these bearings look really nice, except obviously where the damage was, it put extra pressure on these bearings, on the main bearings. Here's the main bearings from the other side. They all have a little bit of wear. I'm suspecting with this kind of impact, it bent the crankshaft, and not much wear at all. I mean, there's no wear in the cylinder walls. Here's how the VR6 looks again. That's the bad rod. The pistons, the tops are slanted because they go at the angle, and the cylinder head is flat, being this is a 10.5 to 1 compression ratio. That's probably why they filled the area up with a slanted piston. If you go to like a lower compression piston, I could see making it flat would be just fine. Here's the crank, and I wanted also to explain how the VR6 sounds different than other engines, than other V6s. If you see here, these are cylinder numbers. If you look from the top, 1, 2, 3, and then we got 5, 4, 6. But the firing order is 1, 5, 3, 6, 2, 4. So it's 1, 5, 3, 6, 2, 4. And the reason that the rumble and this engine has slight vibration due to this offset. I don't know how to compare it to like a bike engine like Harley Davidson. They have something like this where most of the way, all the way around, the crank spins with no firing, and then two cylinders fire pretty close next to each other. On the normal V6, you'll have two pistons coming up to top that center at the same time. These are not. They're offset a little bit. So that's where that rumble comes. Like if you had the normal V6, it would just have three positions where two pistons at the same time come to top that center, and one fires one revolution, the other one fires the next revolution. But because of this offset, if we go firing 1, then 5, you get an even space from there. Then from 5 to 3, you get an even space from there. But from 5 to 6, you got a little bit less degrees. From 3 to 6, I'm sorry, you got less degrees. So that fires a little bit quicker. And then from 6 to 4, and then from 4 to 1, you have quite a bit more to go. So that kind of offsets the engine beat it works. I mean, the engine still makes power. I think the 3.6 liters make 275, 285, and in a Passat they make like 300 horsepower. So it's pretty cool, sounds unique, completely different to all the V6s out there. And the other thing that I was surprised at is the only damaged from oil starvation, only one rod bearing got damaged and went through the block. The rest of these, they look perfectly fine. There's no scoring on them. All the bearings look fine on there. Look at that dent from the rod in the journal. Crazy, but just one damage. The rest of them are fine. I almost thought that it wasn't due to the oil starvation because everything looked so good. I'm pretty sure the way it hit, it bent the crank, so it's no good. The only thing that makes me think that these are still good is from using this additive called ceratec made by Liqui-Moly. I had it in there when I went went to the track. I dumped it in there. So it's like a ceramic coating that goes inside your oil. It's supposed to lubricate your engines. I've seen people put that ceramic in there and then drain the oil and run the engine for another 30 minutes until it locks up. So I don't know what exactly it did. I still blew the motor up, but just kind of looks weird that one rod failed. The rest of the bearings look fine. I've taken many engines apart that failed due to oil or bad oil, and all of the bearings are bad. In this case, only one is bad. Kind of weird, but it is what it is. And you also saw why the VR6 sounds different than all the other V6s.